Mike's Daily Podcast.
I thought that today I may not be doing
Mike's Daily Podcast.
But here I am. It's episode 2625, 2625. It's Mike Matthews. Aren't you so happy when things change and plans change and you are like, hey, I thought I was going to sleep in all day, but instead I got up early and I did a podcast. Yay. It's also National Root Beer Day.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Are we seeing that guy today? Oh, yeah, I guess we are. We probably should on National Root Beer Day. All right.
Mike's
That'll be a little later.
Daily
And we may also
Podcast.
see the rodeo people.
Yeah!
And the fiddle people. The fiddle people. Okay. At the YMCA. No, that's something else. Okay. Wow. The coffee ain't working no more. It's also National Mascot Day. So if there's a particular mascot that you love, like let's say you're into sports, and let's say you love mascots, this would be the day. Or let's just say you go to amusement parks and you like those people that are in those little suits sweating their eyeballs out. That should really be. They are the unsung heroes, the people that have to sit in those things in those thick fur uniforms, and it could be a hot, humid southern day in Florida, and they're in a Mickey Mouse costume, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you're Mickey Mouse!" Oh, and you gotta. There's only so much you can communicate. You're not allowed to talk. I don't think any of those mascot, maybe some of them have the human mouth involved in the uniform somehow. But most of the time you're buried.
And here's today's podcast picture.
In some huge fake head. Hey, the podcast picture today is of the wonderful late great Basil the Boxer. I was thinking about him today, and 6 years ago, he and we were walking along the beautiful Fairmont Ridge in Podcastro Valley. We went there so many times. And when I go there now, it is so difficult for me. Because I run into a lot of people, yeah. He would see them and he'd bark. He loved playing with all the different other dogs. Occasionally he'd bark at a cow. You're not supposed to do that, dog owners. Don't let your dogs bark at the cows. Those cows are pets that belong to other people that they're making a lot of money on. But you got to be mindful of these things. So, just thinking about him here at Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valleyton. Yeah, he used to love running around. So many adventures there. One time we were there, and they were filming a commercial for Westworld. I think for the second season of Westworld.
Mike, it's Mikey Fikey.
So Fairmont Ridge is very beautiful. It is a ridge. So basically one side you see the Bay Area, the other side you see the beautiful Lake Chabot, and in the mountain ranges back into Podcastro Valley. But if you are somebody inside of a mascot outfit and you are sweating and you also have to really perform, the ones I see at Disneyland anyway, whenever somebody asks a question, they basically do charades. They do a dance in such a way to answer the question. And some of them have a very limited repertoire, but they're able to communicate with it. It's amazing. I don't know how they do it. So let's hear it for the mascots today. And also for people at those amusement parks wearing Crocs. Because a lot of people like to wear Crocs at amusement parks. It is World Croc Day. That's why I mention it. And then National Apple Strudel Day. I am part German. Apple strudel figures deeply into my heritage. It seems I was fed apple strudel many times. Apple strudel? A lot. And yes, it's delicious. I've never tried to make it. I've come up with some very bizarre, close, like, I don't know. I cooked Oh, that's what we did. We took apples, chopped them up, caramelized them in a pan, and then we did a thing where we mixed in some dough and then finished it off in an oven, something to that effect. That's the broad brushstroke recipe version of what I'm trying to think of. That was some kind of Dutch apple German thing. So, yes, to us here in America, we like to lump the Dutch and the Germans together. But yes, though they do share some words, and they are very close to each other geographically, there are a lot of differences. I have not yet been to the Netherlands. Never been to Holland, and I would maybe someday love to go because it looks beautiful. And it is rather close to Germany. And when I'm visiting relatives over there, like the wonderful Anne-Katrine, who you hear at the beginning of every podcast, she's the one that says the name of the podcast first. And then that's my wonderful late uncle, who I had a dream about last night. Uncle Joop, had a dream about him. I was talking to him, and as I'm talking to him, I'm going, wait a minute, aren't you dead? Oh, that sucks. When you suddenly realize they're not, they're just alive in your dream. Well, anyway, I make the most of it whenever I meet someone who's deceased in my dreams. I go, I don't know if this is really them, or is this just my brain just conjuring something up? We're working through something subconsciously, but I will take advantage of it and do the best of this meeting. So, and it's also World Juggling Day, so maybe you are one of those talented people that can juggle. I have never been able to figure that out. But, yeah, oh, Mike, it's easy. Let me show you. They've always failed trying to show me how to. Same thing with playing the guitar. Cannot play the guitar. The strings and everything, I'm like, oh, those sound nice. How does this work? What? Just give me a keyboard. I'll just fake my way through it. All right. I wanted to share with you some interesting things. This is when a host is changing the topic. He goes, all right, or so, or anyways, here at Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Do you ever go to the Gap? Well, they recently announced they're going to cut 1,800 jobs, and their stock is rising. They announced back in September, I don't know if this is September of last year or this year, that they're going to do another 500. Or no, they cut 500 last year. Yes. The Gap seemed to be it seemed to me anyway to be a nicer Old Navy. As we go outside a Cafe Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley 10, you might get something a little more stylish at the Gap. I think the Gap is older than Old Navy because I remember my mom shopping at the Gap. But yes, their stock is rising, but they've had to cut some jobs, which tends to happen when they cut jobs, the stock goes up. The airlines, which you may be taking this year, Southwest, hate to share this with you, but it was rated the worst airline in the U.S. Delta was named the best. This is by Wallet Hub.
This is interesting.
Wow, this is interesting.
So that was the second year in a row Delta was named the best U.S. airline. I was talking about on the last podcast how I had a layover in Atlanta. This was over 10 years ago. And then they put me up in a hotel and I was able to, this was in Atlanta, so I got to see a friend of mine that worked at a radio station in Atlanta and check out the Varsity. That's a burger place. And try to make the most of my very extended layover, but they supplied the hotel. But I don't know if other airlines are as good at that kind of thing. They're supposed to. We were talking about that last podcast about how that is supposed to, the compensation is supposed to be more closely monitored by the federal government. And I have flown Southwest a couple times. It is sort of a free-for-all. Like, okay, everybody line up and then just find a seat. And that doesn't, I thought that would work, but everybody immediately takes all the windows. So I hate that. I want to sit by a window. I'm a looky-loo, and I take pictures of all the cool sights from up above. But I try to, they are cheaper, usually. And they do some other things, like they let you take another bag or whatever. They try and throw little benefits in there. I don't know if they do that so much anymore. But I think they used to be a good airline to take out of Oakland Airport. And in the East Bay, you have the choices of San Francisco, San Jose, or Oakland. And you would tend to want to go out of Oakland because it is so close by to you. Whereas SFO, you got to cross over the San Mateo Bridge. And you never know. Sometimes you might hit a traffic jam or a car accident or something that'll prevent you to get to SFO in a timely manner. And in San Jose State, that is quite a drive sometimes. When the traffic is really bad, it can take quite a while.
That's a nightmare of a show.
So it'd be nice if you could just fly out of Oakland, which I've been able to do on occasion. And it's always been through Southwest. And they now have they used to have to catch a bus between BART and the airport, and it was kind of a long bus drive, and you had to have exact change. And of course, all the flights leave super early in the morning, so you're fumbling around for change, and it's dark, it's 4 in the morning, and that area just below the stadium, Oakland Stadium, BART, that neighborhood is kind of, it's not attractive. I'll put it as nicely as possible. But now you don't even have to leave. Several years ago, I think this was over 10 years ago now, they built that special, it's basically a funicular, but it's level. It is a train, not a monorail, but it does travel above everything. An elevated train, as it were. And it is pulled by basically pulleys, cables. They pull you towards the middle, the midway point. There's a building that is pulling all the cars to and from, and then you get pushed away, basically, to the BART station or to the airport, depending on which way you go. And that is a very nice ride. I've done that a couple times. And then just hopped on BART and went home. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in the Bay. This is when the Bay Area is cool. When you can use public transit and not be annoyed by the smell of urine or a lot of marijuana or loud people talking and using a lot of expletives or just whatever insulting, annoying thing coming at you when you ride BART. That is great when you don't have to deal with that. So Meta, their stocks climbed as much as 15% recently after their earnings beat Wall Street expectations. They had reported revenue growth after 3 straight quarters of declines. They had been doing badly. You may be on Facebook a lot. I really only go on there to post Mike's Daily Podcast. But it is just why is anybody on Facebook anymore? People post on Facebook like it's still a thing. I don't get it. Instagram is definitely much bigger.
MTV News. You hear it first.
I really don't try to waste as much time as possible on social media. Maybe you are one of those folk. If so, I have not posted an actual post where you sit there and write something down like, I feel like I don't like the way this country is going. Politicians are corrupt. Blah, 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 blah. I haven't done that probably in over 10 years. And then I am so suspicious of anybody who's a Facebook friend of mine. There's no such thing in my world. If you are a Facebook friend, I question you as a friend. Just because you're a Facebook friend does not mean you're a friend. You got to go outside of Facebook. You got to call me on my phone. You got to email me. You got to do some other reach out to talk to me. Not just through Facebook. I ignore the Facebook messages. Just that the whole, it's so fake. So fake. I hate it. Part of why I hate Meta. Mark Zuckerberg, sorry. Just don't like your company. But they're doing well. They reached a milestone of 200 million daily actives in the US and Canada, after the previous quarter reaching 2 billion daily actives worldwide. It has gone through 2 of the 3 waves of restructuring and layoffs planned for this year in recruiting and technical groups. Reels is a thing on Facebook. It continues to grow quickly on Facebook and Instagram. Reels also increasing overall app engagement. It's also increasing that and sees share gains in short-form video. Because short-form video is all the rage these days, of course, with TikTok. More than 20% of content in Facebook and Instagram feeds are recommended by AI. They're getting a boost from that. They have been one of the best performing stocks so far of 2023. It was up 74% year to date last month. Not sure what it's doing today, but this is something, though, not going up, going down. There's a decline going with engagement ring sales. Fewer Americans are opting to tie the knot. Now, a lot of people got married last month. A lot of people getting married this month. I'm hearing it, oh, well, they couldn't get married during COVID, so they're getting married now. Lots of that going on. But there is a dip in engagement ring sales. The largest jewelry company in the U.S., Signet Jewelers, and the owner of K Jewelers, Jared and Zales, those retailers are suffering from an engagement gap that's been about 3 years in the making. The slump is being attributed to the decline to dating reluctance and relationship rifts that were caused by the pandemic lockdowns in 2020. Yes, we knew a lot of that was going to happen. A lot of divorces were going to happen because of the lockdown. People actually sitting there with each other, getting sick of each other, or working through it all and enjoying each other. On average, most couples get married about 3.25 years into a relationship. Yikes! Then I'm a bit overdue. Jewelers aren't the only companies feeling the bridal slump. In early April, wedding dress retailer David Bridal filed for bankruptcy for the second time in the last 5 years. Outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. Look who's here. Hi, Mark. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing, baby? What's that?
That's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player. Tell you what.
What?
You better put a ring on it. You better get married right now, Mike. That's what y'all got to do, because marriage is the best thing ever. I'm married to Benita, and we're so happy.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's good. That's good to hear when something goes right. Yes. We're just the two of us, my lovely lady friend and I, were having a wonderful time, and we're both divorcees. So, yes, we're being a little more careful. So, we're going to be a little bit above the average. I would say, yes, not going to be the 3.25. Well, we've passed that already, so. But, hey, if something changes, we'll let you know. Look who else is here.
Oh, Mike, I make the delicious root beer. Has to run ahead.
Thank you. Oh, my gosh. Oh, that root beer looks good. Oh, it tastes good, too. Wow.
What?
That is the best root beer you've ever made.
Kick around there, I'll cut you.
I just drank it. I was giving you a compliment. Ah. You know what? It's time now for another segment called Let's Go Back with Matthews.
Let's go back with Matthews.
I'm going to tell you right now, probably will not do a podcast tomorrow. Just saying. I'm just saying it, and you can tell I'm just saying it because the words just came out of my mouth. And I said it. So, here at Podcastro Valley's Mike's Daily Podcast show, cafe anyway, the last place on earth, Podcastro Valleyton, I would like to play you something. Once upon a time, the world of radio was fun and interesting and enthusiastic and enjoyable, and it wasn't the same thing all the time. And, well, we did play the same songs quite a bit, often, over and over again. At the radio station I worked at 20 years ago, we were playing country music, the top country hits but we would. And so we're talking Shania Twain, Garth Brooks, Faith Hill, Tim McGraw. But in the evening, I had apparently really good ratings. And my boss said, you know, Mike, people tend to like you. You've been on the air a while. Why don't you do whatever? Here, how about you just interview people on your show. Just have people on the show and do the whole, it was called the K Santa Fe Cafe. And it had already existed about 3 years before I took it over. And at this point, it was probably, I think, at least over 10 years old. So he said, have guests on. And I would have to book the guests. I was my own producer, my own engineer. I was the host, so I had to do it all. And I found these guys. One of them was the friend, really good lifelong friend, childhood friend of my ex-wife's dad. Oh, hey, happy Father's Day. If I don't do a podcast on Father's Day, happy Father's Day! Thank you, fathers, for all that you do, working hard, dealing with disciplining your children, but yet being a hero to them and being cool and trying to get them to get over the finish line and be the best that they could be. Thank you so much. I sound like an Army ad. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you. This sounds like was that a Bud Light commercial? Oh, gosh. Don't say those words, Bud Light commercial. But back in it, there was that You're a Champion, that rock guy. I think it was somebody. It was the guy who sang Eye of the Tiger for Survivor, I think. And you're a hero. We're saluting you.
Life grand.
And now we return you to our regularly scheduled program with Mike Matthews.
My point is, happy Father's Day. And I remember my dad, and he was very fun, interesting fella. He had me think a lot. He made me think about everything in a way and just tackle things from different points of view. And a very nice guy, very supportive. And I miss him. Thinking about him now, of course, today. If it's Father's Day, happy Father's Day to you. I hope you had a good relationship with your dad. If not, I hope you learned something from the relationship that helped you with your other relationships. And that everything turned out good. And if you didn't have a father, I hope that one that you knew, I hope that there was someone in your life that was close to it. May have been a woman that was like a father figure to you and helped you in ways that you needed. Helped support you when you needed it growing up. Helped give you some good lessons, teach you some good words of wisdom. That's what we need growing up, is some good words of wisdom to help us along, go the right path. Okay, getting all metaphysical there, but this guy was a friend of my ex-wife and my ex-wife's dad. And, well, let's just say my ex-father-in-law, nice guy, but let's just say he lives life by his own rules, even today, and doesn't let, I don't know, convention get in the way of things. So his friend, this guy, Dano, very much an artist, very much living on his own in a camper down by the river with his guitar, and he played beautiful guitar. He was often hired to do weddings, and he did his own music. He'd come out with albums, but he was also... So one time I'm at lunch with a friend, and I'd driven all the way to Ventura to see this friend of mine. At this time I'm married, so I'm there with my wife at the time, and so we're having lunch with this friend of ours. Suddenly Dano shows up, crashes our lunch, eats with us, orders whatever, and then lets my friend pick up the bill. Because my friend was taking us out to dinner because we drove down to Ventura, or lunch. And he was treating us to lunch because we had driven down there. But Dano crashed it. And he didn't take any hint. He didn't read the room. Don't you love people that can't read the room? That's my big question for today's podcast. Call me at 510-228-4640. People that can't read the room. 510-228-4640. I work with a guy like that. Oh my gosh. The patience. The reservoirs of patience that I must draw from. For people that can't read the room. Woo! Boy, that is something. Boy, howdy. You know, there are some people that just... So, this guy... And it was an expensive lunch. And my friend ended up paying, and afterwards I was apologizing. I'm so sorry. I don't know where Dano came from. I don't know what he did, why he showed up. He just was there all of a sudden, and we were being nice, saying hi, and he sat there, and that was the other thing. We wanted to talk to our friend who had invited us to lunch, and Dano monopolized the whole conversation. It was like, Dano, you've crashed. You've eaten the food. The guys had to pay for you. He doesn't know who you are. And you've just ruined this entire lunch. Thank you, Dano. So he used to be on Facebook. Well, he's still on Facebook, I'm sure. I blocked him. I blocked him years ago. Oh, so annoying. I don't understand. I guess because I'm so hypersensitive to the room, I just go, oh, maybe I shouldn't, say things that way. I maybe should back up and apologize. Oops. But Dano could care less. So let's hear it to the guys named Dano. Book 'em, Dano. So we would do this little segment on Friday nights. I forget what we called it. Let's listen to it, shall we? I dug it up out of the cassette archives. As the cassette was deteriorating away, I saved it. This is from over 20 years ago.
The Seminole Wind Song by John Anderson. 100.7 KHAY, and it's Matt Michaels with Daryl and Dano on Fun and Freaky Friday.
Here we are, folks.
And we still have left over this aqua massage, which we have been mentioning prior.
It doesn't uses dry water.
Dry water.
All right.
To massage your back and make it feel so
Waiting
good.
to be cleaned.
Oh, just got a little splash there.
Look at a mess it made.
Let's go into the basement, you guys.
All right.
It's dark in here.
Is that guy down there at the basement?
It's dark, man. Put the light on. Dan, use your magic finger.
He's got his five
my lights on. Wait, here they are.
Who is it?
Hey, Brewmaster.
Hey, Dad. Hey, I like your music. It's so inspirational.
Well, I thank you very much, my friend.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I want to sing along. Play a little Papa Oktoberfest music for me, please.
Would you like some Papa?
Papa.
Oh.
I love sauerkraut. That's what life is all about.
All right.
I don't have a girlfriend because my breath smells very bad. I need to get a voice that can hit higher notes because mine hurts right now. Oh.
Oompa, oompa, oompa,
oompa, oompa, oompa, oompa, oompa, oompa, oompa, oompa.
It reminds me of that song called Frankenstein.
Oh, your Frankenstein song.
Oh my gosh.
What perfect timing to play that so close to Halloween.
Shut up, man.
Sorry, Brewmaster.
Okay, we're going to finish. Here it comes. How you like that, Mr. Brewmaster?
That was sweet.
Oh, boy. I feel like I have
a record deal for you.
Had a moment.
See me.
In time.
In time and space.
Thank you. Have a root beer.
Oh, spilled it again. Oh my gosh, what a mess.
It's Gary Allen, nothing on but the radio. 650
Wow. What a great tribute to the Brewmaster. That's the Brewmaster over 20 years ago. We did that right on the spot. I don't know if you could tell. That was not practice. They just started playing that little guitar riff. That was Daryl and Dano. Oh, I hope they're doing well. Just don't ever invite Dano to lunch unless you want him to monopolize the conversation. And then you have to pay for it. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. If you would like to contact me, let me know about what you think about the podcast. Here is how you do it. It's A-Frame.
First of all, I just want to thank everyone for joining us here on this show. This is great.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!